Japan seems like one of the safest countries in the world, and in a lot of respects, it definitely is, but that doesn't mean that it is completely devoid of any kind of criminal activity. In fact, today we're going to be talking about a very, very peculiar case which has not expanded for 10 years, not expanded for 20 years. This is a 50-year-long story. One criminal who committed a terrible crime finally managed to be found, but not in the way that anybody was expecting. But before we jump into that, a quick little message from future Joey. Take it away, Joey. Thanks, Joey. As you all hopefully saw in my recent New Year's video, one of my resolutions is to learn a new language, more specifically Korean. But textbooks can get expensive, and I don't necessarily have the leverage to go back to school or hire a private tutor. Luckily, I can use today's partner, Rosetta Stone, to make that process easier. Rosetta Stone prepares you for real-life conversations and scenarios as you learn practical phrases from your first lesson, and help you tap into your natural learning ability to learn languages, which gives a unique, engaging learning experience to help you learn languages faster and retain them for longer periods of time. The pronunciation engine here helps you nail accents every time as you learn naturally through pictures, audio from native speakers, and interactive abilities.
주스,
주스,
물,
물. Nailed it! Lessons are as short as 10 minutes, so even busy people like me can learn while on the go. No matter what reason you want to learn a language, Rosetta Stone has got you covered. And right now, just for you guys, Rosetta Stone is offering a discount for its lifetime subscription that gives you access to all languages, so you never have to pay a renewal fee. If you use my link in the description below, you can get over 60% off of the lifetime subscription to Rosetta Stone. Make learning easier and more fun. So big thank you to Rosetta Stone for partnering up with me in today's video. Joey, if you've been to Japan before, if you've walked past a police station, you might have seen a poster with this particular face on, and you've probably thought to yourself, who is this man? Why do I keep seeing him in every single police station across Japan? Well, this man right here is Kirishima Satoru, and he is, without any exaggeration, one of the most wanted men in all of modern Japanese history. In fact, he has been so elusively wanted that he has been on the run for the past 50 years. So what did this man do, you're probably wondering? Well, here's a quick little recap of Kirishima Satoru. He is Japan's most wanted man for the past 50 years as a member of what is referred to in Japan as Sasori, or in English, the East Asia Anti-Japan Armed Front, which according to this Wikipedia article was a Japanese New Left terrorist organization that existed from 1972 to 1975. The organization self-identified as a leftist group which espoused anti-Japanism, which is a really hard word to say, ideology of revolution against the Japanese state, corporations, and symbols of Japanese imperialism, and was classified as a far-left illegal group inspired by anti-Japanese anarchism. I think this is one fact that has surprised a lot of people, thinking that, wow, there are terrorism acts that happen within Japan. I mean, I would like to argue that any country that has any type of government has a possibility of having some kind of anti-political terrorism group, and Japan most certainly had one back in the 70s. But what exactly did they do? Well, the organization committed a series of bombings as 3 cells during the early 1970s, including the 1974 Mitsubishi Heavy Industries bombing, until it was disbanded when most of its membership were arrested by Japanese authorities. Yes, this is like when the word terrorism is used to describe this particular group, they're not fucking around with that definition. Like, they literally went around bombing large industries, fighting against all the things that they believed in, you know, anti-Japanese imperialism, and fighting against the state and corporations. Because back in the 70s, Japan definitely did start to kind of throw around this idea of like anarchism and anti-imperialism a lot heavily, you know, a lot like a lot of countries out there during the 70s, especially because this was, you know, right after the Second World War. A lot of Japanese people were angry or upset about the state of the country. And again, this was during the 70s, which was, I believe, right before the Japanese industrial bubble started to emerge. So I think for a lot of people, there didn't really seem to be any kind of prosperity for the future for the country because of maybe the way it was run or or how the people were acting. Look, as someone who was not even close to being born around this time, it is kind of difficult to pinpoint what exactly was happening, as admittedly, I don't have the biggest knowledge on Japanese modern history, so I will leave the link to this Wikipedia article down in the description if you'd like to read it for yourself, because it is fascinating. But going back to the man in question here, Kirishima Satoru, as you saw in that previous Wikipedia article, a lot of the group was arrested shortly after all of these bombing incidents, except for one, this man right here. He was deemed as a wanted man back in 1975, a year after the bombing incidents. For almost 50 years, nobody has been able to find him. It is honestly impressive that someone who is that wanted, someone who is the most wanted man in Japan, managed to live under the radar for almost 50 years of their life. In fact, a lot of people were speculating that the man was just potentially dead or living overseas, hiding overseas somewhere. They looked at the posters and went, well, how the hell are we supposed to identify this man when this is a 50-year-old picture we're looking at? Well, this is where the story takes a very, very interesting turn. Over in Kanagawa Prefecture, which is the prefecture right below Tokyo, for those of you who don't know Japanese geography, a man in his 70s admitted himself to a hospital worried about, some health issues, so he wanted to go get a checkup. The doctors managed to find some level of cancer. I believe it was stage 4 cancer, terminal cancer in this old man's body. And the doctor basically told this old man, you unfortunately only have a couple of months left to live. After hearing about this, the old man on the hospital bed, knowing that in a few months' time, his life was going to end, regardless of how he felt about it, he made a very interesting confession to this doctor. The old man said, so you know the name that I registered in order for me to be admitted to this hospital? That's actually not my real name. In fact, my real name is Kirishima Satoru. Immediately, the doctor heard this, was reminded of this face that he had seen in front of every single police station and, detective agency in Japan, and went, holy shit, am I really standing in front of Japan's most wanted man who has been in hiding for the past 50 years? So the police were called immediately on the spot, notifying that, hey, we might have just found the most wanted man in all of Japan, and he might have just admitted who he is on his deathbed. The police force came, and after a little bit of investigation with the man, we found out this man was indeed Kirishima Satoru, Japan's most wanted man, and the one remaining member of the 70s terrorist organization group, which is absolutely freaking insane if you ask me. Look, I've mentioned, in past videos how a little bit useless the Japanese police force is and the law force is, with all of these L's that Japan has taken in terms of different convictions and laws and stuff like that, which I've talked about numerous times in past videos on this channel. But nobody was expecting that the most wanted man in the world just straight up admitted his own existence on his deathbed. Now, I can already see the comments, right? And I feel the comments are going to be split up into two different comments. And this might be poorly aged by the time, the video actually goes live, but I'm just imagining what the two different types of comments are going to be. One type of comment after hearing this story is probably something along the lines of, oh, wow, finally, this man just managed to finally get caught after all this time. He should be arrested. He should be thrown in jail. Who cares if he has terminal cancer? Who cares if he is about to die? We need to see this man come to justice. And then there is another type of comment you're probably all thinking of right now, which goes along the lines of, wow, this man was on the run for 50 years and he admitted himself that he is the most wanted man on his deathbed, knowing that he is about to die and the police probably can't do anything about it. I know it's kind of weird to say because he's a criminal, but that's kind of based. I know there are at least some of you thinking that, because admittedly, that's what I was thinking when I first heard the story. And I feel that's a really interesting observation to have. Why is it that some of us feel that way? Why is it? And I'm not the only one who thinks that way, mind you. I told this story to a number of my friends before I decided to make this video, and surprisingly, a lot of them also thought the same thing, thinking why do I feel like that's kind of badass? Isn't it strange that even though he is one of, again, the most wanted criminals in all of Japan, literally the remaining member of one of the few terrorist groups that existed in Japan at the time, why is it feel so almost badass or cool that he is coming out in this fashion. It's a really interesting psychology, and I don't exactly know how it works or why that is the case. So if there's any like professionals in the comments, like I'd love to know your thoughts on why this kind of thing occurs. But regardless of the fact, this man was confirmed to actually be Kirishima Satoru. And the ending of this story is also kind of crazy. Not even a day after this man admitted to being the most wanted man for the past 50 years in Japan, he passed away from terminal cancer. This man is literally the Joker equivalent to Japan. Like, if there was a Joker equivalent or like the biggest like fucking superhero villain in real life, it would be this man right here. That is the biggest fuck you and mic drop to the entirety of the Japanese police force. To be in hiding for the past 50 years, the entire country not being able to find him whatsoever, only for him to admit and reveal his true identity on his deathbed and then peace out the next day. Why is that badass? I don't understand why. Like, is it a hot take to think that that's kind of fucking badass and based? Again, I know this man is a criminal and I know he did terrible things, and I, you know, honest condolences to the people who were affected, you know, during that crime in the 70s, but maybe we've just watched too many like superhero like movies and shows and like seen too many like TV villains and stuff like that to think like that is the most like anime antagonist shit that I've ever seen in my life. But in another piece of news is the fact that after this man died, after Kirishima Satoru died, obviously, you know, the hospital had to do something about the dead body, and he found out that, or they found out rather, that he has remaining family members who were maybe like descendants of Kirishima. But in a kind of cruel twist of events, when the police and the hospital asked the family if they would like to take Kirishima Satoru's body, the family straight up said no. They went, nah, we don't want anything to do with this man. He did a terrible fucking crime. He abandoned us for 50 years, and then he left without saying anything. Like, the family actually found out that he had died after he had already passed away. So the family, you know, were responsible really for having this like terrible human being in their bloodline, for them to disappear for 50 years and then just peace out without saying anything. So I honestly don't blame the family for like just straight up rejecting the man's body, being like, no, we don't want anything to do with it. You guys do with it what you will. We cut ties with this man a long time ago. But as of right now, you know, they're currently doing DNA tests on this body to actually confirm if this man is Kirishima Satoru, and if it is confirmed, then the police are probably going to have to file some kind of like law or like lawsuit or something, which I don't know how they're going to do it to a man who is already dead, but I guess we're just going to have to find out what happens. But this is an absolutely insane story, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I feel a lot of people don't actually know who this man is or what's happening. But if you live in Japan or you've been to Japan before, and you've definitely seen this man's face somewhere, now we know who he is and what ended up happening to him. Reality is truly stranger than fiction. The fact that this man managed to get away with this terrible crime for 50 years only to, again, do the biggest mic drop on Japanese society by peacing out. I don't want to admit it, but it is sort of based, and I hate the fact that I think that way. But anyways, guys, that was just a little story I wanted to share with you all. Let me know your thoughts about it. What do you think about what happened to this guy? What do you think about how it ended up? You know, if you agree with me or disagree with me on the base take, that's completely fine. You know, at the end of the day, it was a crime that happened a long time ago. A lot of people had honestly like moved on from it because it happened so long ago. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on what actually happened and how you think about it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smack my face right here, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. Over here next to my head is a couple more videos you can check out if you enjoyed this one. Links to my social media, as well as Patreon to support me directly, and Nonsense, my clothing line. Check it out at nonsense.jp. Links in the description, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.